used to be an altar boy in the Roman Catholic Church. So when I heard that the Pope knew of a satanic ritual that happened inside the Vatican, in the St. Paul Cathedral, I thought to myself, oh, I gotta investigate this. And when I did, it connected to a vast conspiracy to overtake the Vatican and probably the world. So I thought, this is bigger than Scooby-Doo, and I just gotta tell you all about this one. The Pope has a new roommate, and when it involves the Masons, the Jesuits, the Exorcist division, the church itself, the Illuminati, which look a little bit like this now, and this is just fantastic. Okay. It all starts with, here's a picture of Father Armand, and in 2000, he said, this is the Pope's exorcist. The Pope's exorcist. He says, the devil's in the Vatican. In 1996, an archbishop earlier declared the same thing. Father Martin, who wrote this book, all about exorcism, says, I confirm all this stuff is going on. I read this book. This guy's been a Jesuit since he was 18, and he's a Vatican insider. Now, it involves a gigantic, gigantic conspiracy. And even the Pope in 1972, that would be Pope Paul VI, said the smoke of Satan has entered the chambers and, as far as he knows, never exited. And this curious thing, everyone couldn't figure out. So, here's a little timeline to kind of point out what happened. Pope Paul VI. Now, before him, Pope the 23rd announced a giant council, Vatican II. He announced it in 1959. Then, curiously enough, this famous Vatican III secret, which was supposed to be announced in 1960, got kept secret. Then, Vatican II begins in 1962. Pope John, the 23rd, dies, and he's replaced by Pope Paul VI in 63. Then, within a week, they find out the enthronement of Lucifer ceremony happened in the St. Paul Cathedral, right outside the Sistine Chapel, inside the Vatican. Like, what? I don't know how this could even happen. So, wait, there's an earlier one. Come on. Oh, it's not doing it. Well, the earlier Vatican I, everyone thought that it's not doing it. Everyone thought that when they prayed, they'd get guidance from above and spiritual guidance to do what they needed to do in Vatican I Council. So they wrote down some dogma. Those are rules. Then in this council, it's not rules, it's pastoral. So it's like suggestions. Now, they included the Greek Orthodox people trying to unify everything. So they kind of looked at it like this political cartoon. The devil's coming in there. Vatican II is huge. And they're figuring that when they're writing things up, that they're having an influence. Now, the story of this whole thing goes is, okay, Satan he denied things, and he was arrogant, and he was called Lucifer, and then God threw him down with his other people, and boy, this ain't happening either now. And it was all thrown down, and blah, blah, come on. And then there you have it. The keys were handed over to Peter via Jesus to combat this bad, evil influence. And that's what you have is St. Peter's or the pearly gates, all that imagery. All right, so the basilica was built right over a racetrack of Nero called the Circus of Nero. And off to the side there was this little graveyard, and they built this one cathedral, and then they built the other one, and underneath there's this crypt, and there's a bones of St. Peter, supposedly. And that's the big thing of this church. And my graphics are going off the wall here. And they're possessed. I'll have to put some margin on this. So, this all happens during Vatican II, and Pope Paul VI is in there doing that Vatican II. All right. So, now for the first sidekick. Now, back in 1139, Saint Malachi, this guy was just a regular pope cruising around Europe, and he gets a vision of the next 112 popes that are going to be, it's kind of Nostradamus in these little cryptic words. 112 popes with an extra one, during the end times in 1139. Well, 300 years later, the printing press comes along and they print this up. They figure it might have been a political thing, but the very last one after 112 is written in Latin this, which translates the final persecution of the Holy Catholic Church. Peter the Roman will sit there. Peter the Roman, who passed through many tribulations, and then the Senate mills, Rome's going to get destroyed. And the judge will come, the end. It even says that in Latin. Now, out of the 112 popes, this is Pope 112, Benedict XVI, which makes the current pope Peter the Roman. And if that's not scary enough, off to the Illuminati. We all know about some Illuminati things, angel and demons and such like that. Well, what's this new world order and new Illuminati? The all-seeing eye at the top, Eye of Horus, which is kind of parallel to the seat of Rome, Peter, the seat of Peter, Pope. The Masons in 1776 built up inside United States, and in Rome, it's the Jesuits. Now, upon this rock, and there's a rock, but between the Jesuits and the Masons, from the Age of Enlightenment, we have the Illuminati. And from this luminous Lucifer, are connected to the Satanists somehow. Now, out of this, I found that this fits over that. But, come on! Oh no, here we go. I apologize for my technology, even in a technology speech. Oh no. But this is supposed to work. Well, the Masons have a ceremony. The Masons have a ceremony, and it's secret, and they put up road maps and everything of Rome. Excuse me. They put up roads and buildings and such like this, and oh boy. And if you can see here, this is a map of Washington, D.C., and the road maps almost have an incomplete pentangle with the bottom point pointing to the White House. Like, wow, that's kind of weird. But what's even weirder is Washington, D.C. used to be called Rome. I found that really bizarre. And of course, they have all these weird hand signals, and they keep popping up in these different dignitaries and heads of states. These hand signals, like, look at this. And then these hand signals just keep coming on where they try to interpret what they are. Oh, here's another hand signal, and here's another hand signal, and here's another one. And even the OK sign apparently is 666. What? And also maybe the Eye of Horus, right? It's kind of interesting that this guy got an assassination attempt and lived, and he's doing the 666 sign. But of all this kind of malarkey, what are really all the hand signals? But this hand signal you can't ignore. Benedict used to be Hitler Youth, but that's maybe required membership. But some of the old membership, you can't just explain that away. Now here's another tangent. The head of the Jesuits is the Jesuit general. He is called the Black Pope in a bad way. He supposedly tells the White Pope what to do. He's also in control of all these things like the Knights Templar and the Knights of Malta and the CIA and all. I don't know about that, but I do know this. The Jesuits are everywhere. They are like a giant organization worldwide, and they got definitely a Kabbalah inside the Vatican. That's true. And here's something interesting. Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope. Father Martin wrote about this stuff too, and they all make jokes. The white pope is still the black pope, and they joke about it. Now, the Opus Dei. Now, I remember Angels in Theme or Da Vinci Code with the albino monk, right? Opus Dei. Well, interestingly enough, is this organization is not a clergy thing, it's a believers. There's the people that go to church, made this organization, wanted to be more religious. But here's the interesting thing about Opus Dei, is it started in Spain in 1928. And basically, it's all over the world. These gray areas, there's Spain where it started. Here's all the areas where it isn't: China and all the Muslim. Everywhere else, Opus Dei. Now, of all of this pasquinade, possibly, or whatever that might be about taking over the world and blah, 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 and how the Satanists are constructed like the Illuminati, and that the Illuminati might be in control of the Jesuits and the Masons, plus there's a trilateral commission, apparently, between Rome, Washington, D.C., and I'm just like, the Illuminati are in control of the world. I get all these images from Hollywood coming into my mind going, oh no, we're in for it now. It's doomsday. But here's the major thing. This is the point to take away from. This all connects to a real thing in history, which is apparently these satanic rituals might be connected to the pedophilia. Now this raised my eyebrows as a real thing. 30% were connected to pedophilia. Now I just went, oh my. Because what about the other 70%? What about that? Well, if you look at, nowadays the doors are open for everybody, says Pope Francis, and if you look up real, I don't know if I should call it evidence, but children who were involved as eyewitnesses and interviewed and posted online, if you look it up now, they get taken off the internet like that. So I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. But according to Father Martin here, that this is curious. In the 60s to the 70s, exorcisms went up 750%. And they were requested possessions. Exorcisms have to be requested, but requested possessions. About 1,000 plus major ones a year, thousands of minor ones, and wow, this is all just jumping. No, it should go back. No. This one. I'll just leave it. Let's see. Anyways, there's two things that are kind of more or less real. One is the squelching of the third secret of Fatima. And the second is, everyone's uptight about Vatican II. It's too modern. It's not spiritual enough. And with intellectualism, you can weed out belief. You can discount it, oh, this, you know. And so they're worried about when they rewrite ritual books or ceremonial wording. And it doesn't help that they call it the New Order in Latin. The third secret. Here's Sister Lucy. She's the only one of the three that was there from 1917. Two of the secrets were revealed, but the third was kept secret after 1917. She put it to paper, and it was going to be revealed in 1960, or in the case that she dies, because she was ill at the time. And it went in a sealed envelope to the Pope. The Fatima thing is nothing to sneeze at. I thought, hey, you know, they all believe, blind belief. But these were skeptics that showed up in the pouring rain that were told to fold up your umbrellas in the pouring rain. They did so, the sky went blue, and the sun did something phenomenal. It danced around, and even moved closer, and they could look at it, and they were like scared. These skeptics got converted. And this wasn't mass hypnosis because they saw this in neighboring villages. Was that worldwide thing? They said it was the Pope's assassination, but not. But how can you be mad at this guy? This is Pope Francis as a young Jesuit. You know, I don't think these kinds of things have much weight at all. And plus, he looks very familiar. And this guy, Pope John II, he had some great sayings, and come on, this guy's a beast, come on. But there's this great heritage of this lineage of, you know, Jesus to Peter and this kind of thing with the Catholic Church. There's many great signs, hand signs in the world, and even significant symbolism. And there's always the hope for a world order, you know, that's a positive world order. And I think that's terrific. But it still looks like the inverted symbol of Lucifer. And there's still that problem in the church. But it's probably, they got to root that out. But I look in the grocery store and I see all kinds of stuff, and there's that little owl on the dollar bill. I don't know what's up with that little owl, but there's something weird with the little owl. But when the Pope has red shoes, I do believe there's probably more or less imagination than anything. And I think I'll stop there. Right. On a technology speech.
So I'll take a couple minutes to evaluate Keith's great speech here.
I think it's because it's April Fool's Day.
Maybe it was the subject matter, dear.
It was a little haunting.